Live from Las Vegas, broadcasting around the world. You're listening to Up is Higher Than Down with L.A. Walker, a podcast filled with raw and unfiltered conversations on how to give life's challenges the finger. Truth is your passport to emotional freedom. Give an eviction notice to negativity. Dump yesterday's garbage. Learn how to be positive, energized, healthy, and alive during these insanely unpredictable times. Look up, get up, stay up, then help somebody else to get up. Remember, any part of Up is higher than down. Now on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, broadcasting hope to the world, this is L.A. Walker.
Hi, here we are. We've made it. We've been given this marvelous gift of life again, and it is our job. It is our job to live it. And I am dedicated to my job because living is the best job I've ever had. 2020. That's all I have to say. That puts you in some kind of mood, right? You're in some kind of place. Just 2020. If I said 2020 10 times, you probably go kill yourself because it's been one hell of a year. 2020 represents what to most people? It represents despair, fear, challenges, a failed government, sickness, death, food insecurity. Not much good, right? I mean, really, let's just be real. But we found a way. We found a way to get up anyhow. Now, welcome yourself because you are not the same person that you were in March of 2020. You are not. You have found more resilience. You have found more patience. You have found more strength than you ever thought you had. And some of us really need to thank God for 2020 because we have become like that tube of toothpaste. 2020 has smashed us and rolled us up and pressed us that we would find that creative edge, that we would find that new idea, that we decided that we weren't going to be dependent upon a job. We were going to create a profession, create a job, create a circumstance that was better for us, better for our families, better for our health. So even though 2020 has a lot of negative history, there's some positives that came out of 2020, and I am one of them, and so are you. So applaud yourself. Give yourself a pat on the back. You deserve it. That's right. I have a guest today, and I'm not going to tell you the guest because if I do, then it's going to kind of like spoil everything. But if you've seen some of the marketing posts, you already know. But just sit back and listen. So the other day I was reading something on Facebook, and you know, when you get to a long post, maybe you'll read it, maybe you won't. But if the first couple of lines grab you, you will continue. And sometimes you're looking at how long this is, and you're thinking, okay, this better hold my interest. And I'm telling you, I started reading this, and it did hold my interest. Before I go into talking about how I felt about it, let me read this to you. And then let me share with you who posted this, because that's going to be even a greater shocker, at least it was for me. Back in the 90s, I won't say which year because that will make me old, I experienced as a young adult one of the most traumatic experiences of my life, the loss of both my parents to cancer. And all I could remember were our family trips to the most magical place on earth, Walt Disney World. My dad would joke and say as we watched the shows at the castle and the mini parades down Main Street, USA, "Son, you are definitely a character and this is where you belong. You'd fit right in here, so I'm going to leave you right there." Jokingly, of course. I'm sure he could see my eyes light up at the way art through performance captured my attention. Every year, it made him happy to see me that happy and excited. So when they both passed away, all I could think of while trying to process the pain was leaving South Florida and heading to the magical place on earth. If I hadn't done that, I don't know what would have become of me. It was my outlet and my healing for the next 11 years of my life. Disney helped me grow up. This magical place became my parents. It taught me discipline and structure, professionalism and endurance. It was the foundation for me to become the entertainer that I am today. So fast forward to today, watching so many of my friends who helped create the magic that I was raised on, who spent 5, 10, 20, some even 30 years of their lives helping raise many little versions of me, are now being told that it's all coming to an end. It's just as painful as the loss I suffered with my parents, because for so many of us, Disney was not just a job, it was a lifestyle, a safe haven, a beacon of light. That is incredibly hard to watch being taken away. What about the kids of the present and future who will never get to experience what I did by being there as a guest turned creator of the magic? The kids who need this outlet to expand, be molded, and grow, what will they do now? So when you see these cast members express or grieve their loss in 2020, it's not someone just losing a job. It's way more than that. It's losing a way of life, losing a family of which there was so much love, sibling rivalry on parade routes, and countless stages across the property. So remember, when you see a Disney cast member, you don't just see an employee. You see a lifesaver to many. I was once one of those people whose life was saved, and for 11 years, I became a lifesaver. The post was submitted by Martin Cooper. Who is that? I know, right? CoCo Montrese of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 5 and All Stars 2. Now, I bet you know that name, don't you? CoCo Montrese has established an international presence as a drag queen artist. CoCo Montrese is part of a great group of drag queens that present a super interactive, on-the-strip drag brunch, Senior Frogs Drag Brunch and Supper Club. And my friend, I love my friend, CoCo, what in the world inspired you to post this gut-wrenching and heartfelt post? My Lord.
I felt like at that point, there was somebody that needed to hear it.
We are given these numbers now, 300,000 dead, 14 million unemployed, and the numbers are so massive, we can't even begin to view what that looks like. And so we just drive past that information. It has really no meaning. But your post attached a face to the problem. And that for me was really enlightening, because we are not attaching faces to these 300,000 people.
Right.
And in your post, you got a chance to put a face on some of these wonderful people that have maintained the enjoyment of Disney. Mm-hmm. That these are people that are unemployed. These are people that are displaced, not just numbers.
Right, and it's not just they see the base, the film on top, and they go, oh, these people, they assume that, oh, these people are all happy. Look at, they're dancing down the street, they're doing this, they're making all these kids happy. But what people don't do is, like you said, they don't put a face to these people and understand how these people got to where they are and why they are there. And I thought the best title of the post would be to say Disney saved my life. Because it did. It really did.
That's amazing.
I was a very sheltered child. I didn't learn how to drive until I was in my 20s. So if that puts in perspective how protective my parents were of me and how different I was, I went off to college and I had no, that was the first time I'd ever been away from home, and that I had no type of training on how to be an adult by myself. And I think what happened was my parents were very protective of me, and in a way, it hurt me because wasn't able to learn the things that I could have learned had they gave me just a little, just
Sure.
pushed me out a little bit. But it was
Sure.
a protection thing for them until they were diagnosed. And when they were diagnosed with cancer and they were at that panic mode of, I don't really care about myself right now. I'm about to leave these young kids who are about to be adults to grow up on their own, So with my dad, it was, I was kind of pushed away to like, Marty, you got to go learn. Oh, all the time that he was going through cancer, he was like, you got to go. You got to learn this. You got to learn this.
Wow.
And it was him doing that without saying to me, this is going to happen. He knew it was going to happen soon,
Right.
He found out in November, and he found out at the beginning of November, and they came to Memphis, Tennessee, and I drove up from Alabama State to see my parents, and that was the first time I saw my dad on a machine, and he was on a dialysis machine, and it was the first time I think it's the first time I ever raised my voice at my parents, and it is the first time I've ever used a curse word at my parents, because I was freaking out.
I'm sure.
And my brothers were trying to calm me down, and they were like, listen, hold on. And I was like, I'm not going back. They said, this is why they didn't want to tell you, because they knew you were doing so great in school. You were National Dean's List in college, and they knew if they told you this, you would not stay in school. And I looked at them and like, well, yeah, you're right. I wouldn't. And to go through that way, and at the same time realize you have to grow up and be a man. My biggest outlet was, and I think this is part of the reason why I entertain the way I do and people feel what they feel from me when I'm on stage, is because there's a lot more to who I am, Mm-hmm. There's a lot behind the scenes that created this type of entertainer. Mm. I mean, because I have not really spoke publicly about the details of what it was like, right. Being a pastor's kid and going through that, but really wanting to be this entertainer, this performer. And I mean, as you know, with the Pentecostal church, you can have some parents that completely don't agree at all with
sure.
who you are, and they want to say faith for the family and everything else. Well, I wanted people to understand that was not my experience. My experience was, my parents were, of course, extremely into the church. However, they did not, when it came to me, they did not hold me, how should I put it? They didn't hold me to this standard that, oh, you're the pastor's son, you have to live this way. And they more so allowed me to become just, we're going to let Marty be Marty. We're going to let Marty become who Marty's going to become. We can't control that.
Right.
We have our standards of what we want, we would love to see for him. However, we know we're not going to be here forever, and he can't live for us. If more parents would understand, it's almost like being, I can understand them saying, oh, I want the best for my child. Well, start with being the best for your child being happy.
Isn't it amazing, though, that in listening to you and thinking that your dad really and mom didn't give you the information that you felt you needed to be an adult and move on, that he really did give you the piece of information that really molded your life? He told you that you were an entertainer, and you were a character, and you were in the right place, and he was going to leave you there, and you went back, and that's how your life actually began?
Yeah.
That is amazing.
It was so surreal, because I was dancing down Main Street one day, and we were doing the Christmas parade, and I looked back and saw the castle, and it was literally, I have a picture of me and my dad. I wish I could find it. There's a picture of me and my dad standing in front of the castle. And I was smiling and dancing, and my makeup and everything. I think I was doing the clown unit that day. And my makeup started running down my face because I was just bawling, crying. So when we got backstage, everybody was like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" Because I was going to finish the parade. I wasn't going to not finish the parade because I felt like I was finishing it because I needed to show my dad that I was there.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
and that meant so much to me. And I told the manager, I said, "I'm fine. I just need to go over here for a second." He said, "Will you be able to do the second parade?" I said, "Yes, I'll be fine. Just I need a moment." And I really went in the corner. I sat down and I thought about my life and where I was in my life, and I was at peace. I don't think I was really at peace with their death for a long, long time because I didn't know if they saw me succeed.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
So for me, it was like, okay, I know they can see this. I know God's going to allow them to see this.
Right.
So they can see this and they can smile and they can laugh about it, and it'll make them, see me and say, "Marty's okay. He's doing okay." And that was an amazing moment for me.
So when did you move away from being Martin Cooper into the role of CoCo? Hold that answer, CoCo. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this.
Hi guys, this is Tin. Listen, I don't know if you have been able to make your way over to lawalker.life on Facebook, but if you haven't, do yourself a favor, run over there and just read the snippets of her new book. She's writing a new book, and it is titled Seeing Beyond the Mess. It grabs your attention. All of us have mess. All of us have mess, whether we were born in the mess, as she says, whether we were born in the mess or whether it's handcrafted mess, but there's life beyond that mess. We sometimes create our own mess. And just from reading the little snippets that I read, she exposed all of that. Just in those little bitty passages, she exposed a lot of that. A lot of that stuff she was born into. Some of that stuff she could not control. Some of those things she created on her own. She exposed the mess. Whenever you have time, just run over there and check it out. Let's start seeing beyond the mess.
You're listening to Up is Higher Than Down with L.A. Walker.
Okay, Martin Cooper. So when did you become CoCo?
Well, that started to happen in college, actually. It was really interesting for me because it was not something I planned.
Okay.
I was not planning to do that, so it was a challenge. I was saying to myself, okay, I want to be independent. I want to be on my own. I want to be able to do things on my own. And I'm here in school. I was in Alabama, in Montgomery, Alabama, and I was saying, maybe I could do something, to make extra money so I don't have to call home for money while I'm in school. And my friends were like, well, let's go down to this club. And I was like, well, I don't have an ID. So they said, we can get you a fake ID. We'll go to Atlanta and we'll get a fake ID. So I went to Atlanta, got me a fake ID. I wasn't even old enough yet. And we went to this club and I saw CoCo Montrese. And I was like, wow, this woman is incredible. And at the time, she was, she wasn't a looker at the time,
Okay.
She was like, but her talent, like, overshadowed everything else. It was just like, seeing her on stage was electrifying, her face and everything. So I got to meet her that night. She said, come on, little boy, come sit down. So I'm talking to her and everything, and she's looking at me, and she's like, sir, he don't even know. She said, you got a really pretty face. You need to do drag. Me now, in college. Drag. I'm not doing that. No.
Did your voice get deep?
Oh, yeah. I turned from this Nelly queen into... I was so butch. I was this man. Oh, no. Not going to do that. I'm a law student over here and this and other. Now, this is before I switched from law, studying pre-law, to theater. So I really was, in the quote-unquote closet. At the time, oh, no. She looked at me and said, listen, I'm going to paint your face one day, and you're going to do it. I said, well, I'll let you know. She said, all right, you come back to me when you're ready. So there was this contest at the bar, and they were amateur contest. And so I called up Mocha, and I was like, you want to still paint my face? She said, girl, yeah, I'll put you in drag. So she put me in drag, and I looked in the mirror, and I said, wow. I said, oh, this I like this. Uh-huh. And then I went out and performed. I will never forget the first thing I performed. I was in space and everything, and I performed Prince's Soft and Wet.
Oh, Lord.
And that crowd lived. They were loving me, and I won the competition that night.
Oh, that was all you needed.
Well, it was in the it was in the 90s, so it was $100 to a college student.
That was a good stuff.
$100?
Yes.
I was like, oh, plus all the money the kids were throwing on the stage. So I was like, oh, wait a minute. That was it. I was sold. That's where she said, your name is going to be CoCo Montrese.
Wow.
And I never changed my name since then. I've always been CoCo. Yes, CoCo Montrese.
That's amazing.
And then I got into pageants and while I was in school and made more money. And my parents were weird because they were still, at the beginning, they were like, what's going on? Because you're not calling for no money. I was like, nothing, I'm good. Running around the city with my friends and making costumes. And one thing I did that I regret that I did was my very first costume that I made myself. You know what I did? And I'm so upset that I did it. I pawned my class ring from high school for $60 so I could make the costume.
Well, it served its purpose.
Okay. Well, now that $60, I can see that it's turned me. It was a good investment now, I guess.
Right.
Because it turned me into an empire. So, I wish I could go back and find that ring again, or maybe have it remade just so I can have it. Had a beautiful blue stone in it, and it had my class of '92 on it. It was amazing. But I pawned it. And I would come home, and I would always put my other hand in front of my hand so my parents would not ask me about my ring.
Right.
They're like, where's your ring? They never asked me about it. So, yeah, that's how I started entertaining.
That's incredible. Now, you've entertained all over the world pretty much.
Oh, yes. Brazil, Argentina. You name it. I've been there. The UK, all over Europe. It's been a great experience, a great life. I cherish every moment of it. I really do.
As you mature, how difficult is it to continue to recreate a character for drag?
I think at this point in my career, because I'm almost at 30 years into my career.
Wow.
Yeah. Almost 30 years, just a few more, and I'll be at 30. And I think for me, it's always, taking yourself out of yourself and seeing. I have a lot of mentors too. I do have a lot of mentors that who've performed many years. LaWanda Jackson is one of my mentors. She's very, she's that auntie type that she doesn't hold back.
Okay.
She'll look at you and say, well, what you're doing is great, but I think you need to try to go down this avenue and try this. It's so funny because I never in a million years, if it wasn't for her, would have probably even started to do Tina Turner. And it was so funny. We were there one day, and she looked at me and said, your Janet Jackson is really good, but you need to try something more age appropriate. I said, Auntie, what do you mean age appropriate? She said, well, I'm going to be honest with you. I think you can do Tina Turner. I said, Auntie, you really think I can do that? She said, yes. Research it, study it. I'm going to send you some clips. Study it, study the mannerisms. Then, after you studied that, go back and find every documentary on her and watch her speak. Not watch her perform, watch her speak. You can tell a lot about a person if you watch interviews about who they are.
Right.
Because you're able to actually manifest who this person is, so it's easier to deliver who they are on stage. I tell people all the time, always study before you perform it. Because the biggest thing you want from an audience is for them to feel like either you're the person that you're trying to impersonate, or you're getting if you're not impersonating someone, you're getting the story across of what the song is saying. Because it's more believable and it takes people into another world. And that's our job as entertainers. Our job is to take people away from their normal. You know?
Yes.
So for me, character development has always been something. And I sat on characters for a while. Like with Lawanda, I think I studied Tina for about 6 months. 6 months. And it was probably about a year before I perfected it. You know? It's great to watch. And that was from having mentors. I'm blessed to have mentors like Lawanda Jackson, Tasha Long, my mother, CoCo Montrese. All these people, I was able to watch them. Entertainment, Flame Monroe, all of it. I was able to watch them actually perform, and it helped me to sit down when I was studying. And I did it just like I studied in college. I did. A lot of people don't realize that, you know, to be a great performer with longevity, you have to study the craft. You know, sometimes you have to study the new stuff that's coming out right now, but a lot of times your ambition and your goal to be is one of those older entertainers who have paved the way. Because if you can master that, it's a lot easier to do what the kids are doing today. Because you basically have taken yourself out of yourself, and you can become what the song is trying to say, or you can become that character that you're trying to play.
And you've mentored a lot of young performers here in Vegas.
Yes, I mean I have, and my biggest thing with the performance here is I want them to be able to come into their own and become themselves. I have a lot of performers who always tell me, "Oh, I admire you so much, and I want to be just like you." I said, "No, you want to be greater than me. You don't want to be like me. I'm doing this here and now, but I want to look back when I'm done doing this and maybe, you know, not retired from performing, maybe retired from publicly being on stage and to backstage and running things and all that kind of stuff. But you want to be greater than me." You know, I even say that to my daughter now. I say that to Connor all the time. I said, "Don't stop. I want you to be prettier than me. I want you to be smarter than me. I want you to be more entertaining than me, because you're going to carry this on when I'm done. I need you to go and be your best, you know, your best, not the best, but be your best." Really being a mentor and having children, it's literally just like raising the child that you birthed, you know? It really is, because there's sometimes, and she's done it to me recently, and she's come to me and said, "That really cost me a lot. I should have listened to you." and I don't turn around and be a mother and say, you know, "I told you so." No, I said, well, you know, now you learned a lesson, and you will, from going forward, you won't make that mistake again. You'll do better. And she's like, "You know what? Thank you for not saying I told you so, because you really did tell me." And I said to her, you know, that's just a part of growing. You know, sometimes children, they listen, sometimes they don't, but they are going to remember everything you said. And eventually they will get it right. You just have to allow them. And I don't make the mistake with her that I felt like my parents made with me. I love her so much and love who she's becoming, but I also allow her enough of that rope that if I'm not here, eventually she can do it for herself. I performed with a beautiful heterosexual woman in Seattle, but she gets into drag and she does everything that we do. Her husband comes to the show and he supports her, and it's just amazing to have her backstage, and she she's sitting there and she's like, I want to learn. I want to do this. And I'm saying, I'm not going to deprive this woman of learning and doing this because I know what it's done for me.
Right.
So why can't it be done for someone else?
That's beautiful.
I'm not going to put a limit on it.
That's
There's
beautiful.
a big controversy with, the show, and some people are like, oh my gosh, why won't he let this on the show? Well, that show is structured for what mainstream TV is allowing at this point. Now, will they allow something else in 5 years? They might. They might in 2 years or even one. Why not create your own space and say, okay, well, they won't let me do it on this show. I've had situations where they said, well, you're not what we're looking for. We can't really use you. I don't get upset. I go and find another avenue and make my way. I think that they should do that. I think that they should absolutely don't stop.
Right.
Don't stop.
Right. RuPaul has done such a fantastic job through the years. But we found out with the introduction to Pose that RuPaul wasn't the only idea and concept going. And that will continue from there. And somebody else will come along, and somebody else will come along, and it will broaden, with a wider brush and get more people involved in the artistry. And I think that's great.
I do too. I think it's amazing. And I'm so glad. I message Ryan Murphy and Janet Mock all the time, and they reach out back and forth, and we talk about it because I feel like when you get to that level and you're doing those things, there's still a certain level of your own community. You need to hear it from them. You need to hear that, hey, we support you. We're behind you. We can't just assume that these people understand and get it, that we're behind them. No, we got to show we support you. We're behind you. And I think it's important that we do that. Even in my Monday Love, my what I call it, my Monday Love post, # my Monday Love on my Instagram, I even highlight, transgender advocates and all kinds of stuff. I really want people to take away, and I know there's a lot of people on my page and stuff. I want them to actually go and read what I write about these people, and then they can click on them and they can research them and see what they're doing. Because that's how we expand and grow, and I think it's very, very important. I want people to understand and know that these people are out there.
Right.
And you can support them. You supporting them is no different than you supporting, going to any store that you go and buy your favorite outfits or your favorite looks and things like that. It's no different than that. They're not asking for a handout. They're just asking for recognition and people to be able to support them. They want to be visual.
Absolutely.
And allow people to support them. Absolutely. They might not have that advertising budget that these big companies give, these designers and everybody else. They don't have that.
Right.
We have to be that for them.
And we can. There are enough of us to do that.
Right.
Because we spend a lot of money. We spend a lot of money.
Oh, yeah. And the corporations are realizing it now. Oh, they're realizing it.
So in closing, baby, because we have really talked. We haven't talked in a long time, so we have to talk more often.
Yes, me too.
What advice or what words of encouragement would you like to share with people now in this situation that we're in?
You may hear no a lot of times, but don't take that no for the answer to your fate of what you're trying to do. You can hear it all the time. However, don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. Eventually, you're going to hear a yes, and it may be your own yes.
Maybe.
And you may take matters into your own hand to develop what you need to develop. But sometimes we have to hear that no to allow ourselves to develop and say, okay, I'm going to do something else, and I'm going to make it successful. I'm not going to give up. That's what I did. I had people, tell me all the time, you're not good enough, this and another. And I go right back to my mind saying, you don't think you're good enough? There were 700 and something people in that audition. And you don't think you're good enough now. And you got the job.
Right.
I have to remind myself sometimes who,
Sure.
where I come from and where I am. And if I was able to beat that, and still keep my mental intact from all the trauma and everything I went in through my life, if I can keep my mental intact, I can push forward and I can become something great. Don't worry about the no's. There'll be a yes.
Thank you so very much. I love you. And thank you.
I love you too. I love you so much. And I can't wait for the day that we can actually hug each other.
I know. I miss it so much. All right.
I
Well,
miss it too.
thank you again, and kiss Alfie for me.
I will, and I love you.
All right, honey. Bye.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Listen to Up is Higher Than Down with L.A. Walker every day. To follow up, make comments, discuss today's podcast, or find out how you can become a guest and share your victory over a negative life event, follow L.A. Walker. Up is Higher Than Down on Facebook. Look up, get up, stay up. Remember, any part of up is higher than down.